we're talking about the opposites now and the collision of opposites, and what we have to do is find the things that we love or hate, and that's what will generate an encounter with the greater personality. So that's what's going to let us know this, or experience this God image one way or another, either in a dream or in a vision or in just an idea. And I was thinking about this the other day, and let me, so we're talking about, this is the evolution of the psyche to this point, and not necessarily Christianity also. And there can be regressions. In other words, some religions can have regressions. Obviously, I think fundamentalists of every stripe are regressions. Okay, whether they're Muslim or Christian, they're sort of bookends in a way. The adepts know far more than most people know, but for political reasons, they allow things to just smolder and go on, even though they know they shouldn't. But I give you a couple of ideas about how to reach the psychic ground, because what Jung was talking about was how the God image is really instinctual, okay, and
the God image itself.
The God image itself, the archetype of the God image, is instinctual, and you need to know what yourself thinks, okay. And so, believe it or not, I mean, I thought about talking about this because Deb was talking to somebody at a meeting the other day, and she just popped out, trust your instincts about a certain situation, and that's the essential, isn't it? Because your instincts are where yourself really is. And one way that I found that always works, it's infallible, to find out what yourself really wants, is you take any situation at all, and you flip a coin, any duality, okay? Do I want to go to the movies or not? And you flip a coin, and if you look at the answer and you say, oh, best 2 out of 3, okay, then you know yourself wants the other answer. You don't have to flip it again, okay?
I do that.
It's not a question of random, it's not a question of the random result on the flipping of the coin. Pardon? You're gonna
do that.
You do it?
Yes.
I thought all women did that. With beer.
Gosh.
Aren't you interested in something?
Whatever. Some version of that.
Right.
That's it. You decide.
Right, but if you flip a coin, it forces you to have an instinctual reaction to the result. And so,
See, that was more complex.
pardon?
It's a commitment to the result.
It's not a commitment to it, because you still have conscious choice, okay? And so, I'm telling you, it'll tell you what yourself wants, okay? I'm not telling you have to choose that.
Yeah.
You have to put.
But that's a simplified version of tossing the coins, or to use the yarrow sticks, to do the I Ching or something.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
It's just that's a little more complex, and you get to tailor your wish.
Yeah, well, that's
in a more complex way.
I mean, that's true. I mean, it's sort of like tarot.
Yeah.
Okay, which and any divination method, which is okay. In the tarot, you're only going to hear the things that are related to you. Okay, and so I've often boasted, including in this group, that I can go into a room with 1,000 people and throw the tarot cards across the floor and do a reading just off of the floor, and everyone in the room will think I read for them.
So
But
it's like a horoscope where you read into it with.
everyone in the room will hear a different reading, okay? Because one, I'll say something about the Empress card, which is the mother card, and everyone in the room has a relationship to a mother, right? And some of them have a recent experience, so my reading is going to be meaningful to them, and some of them haven't had a recent experience, and it just sort of rolls off their noggin. And then you go on to the next thing in the reading, and everybody picks up something because so many archetypes are there.
So that's what the tarot is based on.
That's what the tarot does. Okay, so the major arcana are the archetypes of life, right? The Fool card, the Zero card, is the baby, right? You're stepping off the cliff and you don't know where you're going, and you're hoping for the best. You're hoping the next step finds. So
Can I ask you a
what?
question?
Yeah.
So like when you were talking about like the instinct, is that like the same as intuition then?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the same thing.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So your intuition speaks to you that this is what you should do, and you have to pay attention. If you
So then
hear
you
a
believe
voice,
in the signs that you'll catch signs that you're on the right path. And all
if
that?
you hear a voice saying, you know, do you really want to do this? You know, that's yourself talking,
Yeah.
saying, really?
Think twice,
It's
right?
really
yeah.
weird to have that
Huh?
arguing.
Yeah, but
Is it
but
the self arguing with what?
But
though?
I work with clients
with
schizophrenia.
with the ego,
With the ego.
Right.
Okay.
But I work with clients with schizophrenia, and they do that all the time. And I mean, I have clients who have killed people, you know, several of them.
When
And
you
they-
argue with
and
themselves.
if they are, yes, like you know when they're coming off their meds, you can tell because they will. Like you'll hear them having like full-blown conversations.
Yeah, well, you can have full-blown conversations, no doubt.
As if we do it anyway, right? I
Right.
don't need to be committed for that.
No, you don't. No, you
I
don't.
write it.
But-
I'll say it just so I don't get committed.
But now you,
I'll finally get a rest.
but now you know that it's a real thing.
Free room.
You know, it is something that you need to pay attention to, because the voice is really yourself. You talking to that voice is your ego. Okay. And
Responding. It's the ego. That's-
yeah, I mean, you can have a conversation, and Jung in the Red Book, man, he had incredible conversations. They're just filled with wisdom. But, you know, that was definitely archetypal figures in his psyche that were talking to him. And, you know, I hear them all the time. And so we're talking about the evolution of the mind, and you know, Jung talked about the fact that psychology came along late because we always had a religious formula for everything psychological. Okay, so what happened? Human beings, you know, we didn't know what was going on. In fact, where's that thing I wanted to talk about? I know it's on the back of this. Human beings, you know, started to figure stuff out, right? And so definiteness and directedness are late acquisitions of the human mind, is what he says. And it's lacking among primitives. That's the first stage. But then in a neurotic patient, it's impaired. The threshold of consciousness is shifted, and it's more permeable, right? And Jung talked about his unique self was that the boundary between the unconscious and the conscious was completely transparent to him, you know. And but he says in a psychotic patient is under the direct control of the unconscious, whereas in a neurotic patient is in the field of opposites. Okay. You know, like you know, the guy who wants to have a love affair and he says, should I or shouldn't I? You know? Oh, that's a neurosis, you know, that's a conflict of duties, after a fashion. And so what occurred to me, I mean, I've seen a few of these specials. One happened to be about Sodom and Gomorrah, and about now science pretty much has decided that this was a meteorite or something that came over Sodom and Gomorrah very low and had an air burst, and then the main materials actually hit the Alps, and they can prove it. And they actually have a tablet from some Sumerian astronomer where he drew this thing. He drew a picture of the thing crossing the sky. Okay, well, the other one that's interesting is Santorini. I think it's Santorini, which is a Greek island which had a huge volcanic explosion at the time of the Exodus. Okay, all right, and so all these events that occurred, the river turning red, all the first sons dying but nobody else, and so on and so forth, all those things are explainable by people being downwind from a volcanic eruption. But primitive people didn't have a way to think about it, and so therefore they interpreted this as God, as messages from God, right? And yet, to the scientific mind today, they're explainable. Whether that's true or
What about
not.
then all the pyramids that came up, like all over the, you know, random times before planes, and you know what I mean, like, and then they would find the different hieroglyphics and writings and.
You know, obviously the pyramids came up, and it's a standard archetypal shape, right? I mean, architectural shape too, is it not?